recording is on.
Okay. Hi, everybody, to another marketing meeting. This is the number 5. And yeah, I hope I prepared. I hope I organized myself a bit better so that we will have a swift meeting. And with that, as always, please stay open, be kind to all the ideas. Let's try to focus, come prepared. Let's not start a discussion what to do, ask for permissions, but rather come with the idea already formed that you need either instructions or you want to have more conversation, right? So let's try to be better prepared so these meetings are not too long. Basically, let's talk. If there are discussions that need to happen, which are more higher level, let's do have them, right? But first, try to do them in issues, pull requests, and such. And the most important thing, we are here because we want to make Nix better. We want to polish it, and that's the only goal. Doesn't matter how. We just want to get it there, like each week a bit. So I see you already put yourself in the attending list. So there are 2 announcements of what I was working. So I'll just continue because I already start sharing. We can have a bit of discussion, but I would like to limit it and just kind of, as I announced it, have the discussion on the PR. So the PR was the landing page, which we discussed in. It was quite controversial how we discussed it. It was long, but it was good. But what raised the question was that I needed to do much simpler, smaller step. So what I did was I included all the stuff that we agreed upon, which I highlighted here, which is kind of the layout of the front page. It was good enough. So like a title, description, and the video on the right. And the title we agreed upon, that it's like reproducible build and deployments. All of this we can still improve. And we said that having examples on the first landing page, it's a good thing. So what I did apart from that is to kind of minimize the PR. And I was, because we couldn't agree on description, I just kept the current description. And that's it. I'll show later how it looks. The download button, like there are a few things. I removed those 3 buttons. I'll switch to the preview. So this text here is the same as it is on the current NixOS. So we should not discuss it. We can discuss it afterwards. So kind of smaller steps, right? The same thing about NixOS, same. I know it's not the best, but let's discuss it in a separate issue. And then, okay, download getting started. I extracted this text from the about pages. And just highlighted bolded some things. So I didn't write the text. It's already there. I just put it up. If you think something else should be, please let me know. But if you disagree that this should be here, I'm completely fine of removing it. I just want to kind of move this forward. I added also this section of kind of that we have a lot of packages, kind of trying to say. This text is also from the Nix packages about page. We can change it, but I would rather do it afterwards. Kind of getting merged. It also searches stuff, and there are examples. I will just make sure they are there. I would not like, on the pull request, I would not like you to add new examples, but only comment on the current and if they are not working properly. We can, if you want to add new example, let's first land this page, this PR, and then add new ones, or we can always also change, of course, or remove old ones. But the idea is the landing page PR is going for a really long time, and I would like to get it into at least one state that we can all agree that it's better than current state. And that's in short it. If there are any questions, like short comments.
Just looks great to me.
of course, there is some to-do that needs to be done, which is about here, below here. Mostly the video is missing, and I need to double check if the examples actually work. Previously the both about pages, so Nix and NixOS, and Nix packages have about page or something of that sort, and this is now the features flag, features option in the menu, and it's just side by side about NixOS, about Nix, and it's just a copy paste of what was already there. Is it good? It's okay. Could be better, definitely, but it's like a step zero. Like next time we can write something more in detail and yeah, maybe present kind of together how Nix and NixOS work.
One comment or question. Yeah. I was wondering, is the intent eventually that basically all of these examples have a link that goes to a page that explains them in more detail? So for example, minimal Docker image has a link at the end about learn more about how to build Docker images. And maybe that might be an idea for all of them, that you can click on them and so this just gets the flavor across, and then you could click on them and get a more in-depth explanation of what it really means or does, and how you can play with it further or expand it.
That's a good idea. I'll definitely, I mean, yes, I would even say that this should be kind of tutorial guides for particular use cases, like really targeted towards newcomers. It would be even nice, I mean, thinking future, but that this would be interactive, that you can just like click on this here and you can just like start playing with it. Like especially since last time we were talking with Idlework, that kind of write the mock of our Nix and try to see how people are playing with it and what mistakes are they doing, and try to collect this data. I mean, this would be like a amazing thing, but not sure we have the resources to do this or time. But yeah. Is there any big negative thing? But if not, I'll just move on. I think it's... And I just noticed that Edward joined, so hi. We just started with the first topic.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah. The second topic...
Sneaked in.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, so the next topic is this NixOS search. It's not under the right domain yet. I'm going to work on this. I kind of want to have first feedback here, but the idea is to replace the current packages, current packages and option search. So I'll show. So this is the. So you come on the page, it goes straight to the packages search, because I think that's more important. What else? Let's say a common thing is if you search for GHC, if you remember how this was, you get a lot of other Haskell packages results. Now, if I got correctly, this, like, the most relevant is this one, right? It's the GHC. So we did some ranking and boosting of the results just this week, but kind of it works the same. It looks the same, I think. I think there's still a few things missing, but I think it's a good starting point. And there are a few channels, except the last one doesn't work, because, yeah, yet needs to be fixed. The same goes with options. Nginx. Just the search here, it's not any kind of, it's not optimized. We need to give it like we didn't do any work on the search here. It's just a basic trying to find the wildcard search, in a sense. And apart from this, so this is replacement, and then there are other ideas we want to explore with this. First is kind of have a search for each evaluation, so that you can actually, if you go on the page, you can actually show which versions are in other evaluations, so you can maybe use them. So that's one of the options. The other one is you can see the progress, how many packages get added and removed over time. the other one is what we want to do is actually generate the diff between two evaluations. And actually, well, the more important is between two versions. So we can say since less, so the release manager we could kind of auto-generate like a report, this many packages were added, this many removed, this many updated, and so on, right? So it would at least provide the list that they need to go through and create this report. And we can provide many stats in terms of once we have how many packages one maintainer is maintaining, right, and things like that. And another idea is also to have a maintainer page where you will see like, oh, I'm a maintainer of this and this many packages, and kind of have a better overview. Like maybe even pulling in the GitHub data somehow. That's the kind of future work, but the first step is, of course, get search working. That was what's been done.
Can I just say something very shortly? I think all of these are like nice to have. I think the most useful one for beginners is just like I pin Nix packages and then I want to see packages for that pin. So something like by evaluation or commit search is most common. I mean, you can use the NixEnv for that, but it would be nice to have it online, I think, and have the full history.
So that's the idea to get there. So we can only provide search for evaluation, so for builds, right, that we do. Successful evaluations, right? So right now it's only the latest because that's the size that we can actually put in the current plan of Elasticsearch that we have, but we are talking how to extend that. But let's start small. At least the latest and maybe better ranking is already an improvement. Okay.
Yes, sounds good to me. I was just trying to I was writing tutorials and like it's really hard. Right now, I don't know how you guys search for packages, but I look at source in Nix packages, and if you want to pin stuff, then basically that's the only way to do it right now. So this is, and we want to like encourage everyone to pin stuff, in my opinion, because that's the only way to really say Nix is reproducible. And by that, you basically lose all the search through packages instead of we have to use the source, which is fine to some degree, but yeah.
We might even a bit postpone this decision and how this is done, and we might even look at this again, or at least look in the context of Flakes, because that Flakes do the pinning, right, for you, and then that could already know where to search, and it could use even the website if needed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a separate discussion. I mean, regardless of how you ping something, the packages you get out of a search should be the same. So it shouldn't really matter whether you use Flakes or something else to pin Nix packages.
And just going further, I have no idea how to do this with Flakes yet. So that's another discussion.
You type Nix search, Nix packages.
Yeah. But like, can you? Yeah. Let's not go there. This is just like a replacement, so we can remove basically a bit of the closure size of the NixOS homepage. So yeah, if nobody will object, I will do the replacement in the next week that's coming, and yeah, that's it. So, but please open issues if you find that certain searches are not as they should be, grouped. The next thing that we're working on, which is coming also before the release, is you could drill down the search. That's actually more important. So, doing, let's say you have a requests library, or some package NumPy, right? And you're like, and then on the left side or somewhere, there's going to be, I'm only interested in searching into Python 2.7 packages, right? And it will only search in Python 2.7 packages. So it will, and you can only say, only show me like you select the license. So you give me only unfree because you're interested in unfree NumPy, or maybe you just want you say Python and then which Python packages do I support, and there will be like a list of maintainers you can choose from, and it will drill down the search. And you can imagine it's like the facet search, right? So that's the next feature, which is just there. It just needs to be implemented in the front end. Okay, just to go further, the next topic, which I proposed even like the last time, was that we should start doing community survey, just to get a feeling what the community is. We never did it, and I think David, you already had ideas how to do it.
Yes, I had the idea some years ago, I think, to do a survey and learn what people use Nix and NixOS to see how can we improve it for them.
Okay. I would suggest, so that we don't have a big discussion what kind of survey we want, let's open a ticket issue about this and discuss what do we want to get from this survey there, and then bring that discussion once we already have like an idea what we want, and bring that to a next meeting and discuss it. And then also maybe we'll also have somebody that can work on this. And we can also do the research there, like I added 4 examples, and we can, like, it's not going to go into too long this discussion. Does anybody object or want to add something to this? Okay. The next one is from David, history page.
Yes. Since we want to remove the about page and replace it with a feature page, there's a lot of information about the history. And I think we should preserve it. And I think it's also interesting for new users how this project started and how we came where we are.
I don't know. Anybody wants to comment? I'll start. I think the idea is good. I just don't know. I'm not sure how important is it on at least my area. I think at least what we can provide for start is the I will torture his name, or actually I don't remember it. But in the last NixCon there was a talk about the Nix history.
You mean Armijn Hemel?
Exactly. And I think that at least we can provide this video there, kind of embedded like history of Nix in what was half an hour. I think this would be like a first go, and then I think we can work on this when we are on the next NixCon, and I think then the memories come, I think, and we can write them down.
Yes, I think it's not very important. There are more important tasks right now, but we can open a ticket and do something.
Yeah. Okay, so the next 2 tickets I kind of want to skip, but please, David, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to have that there is some work being put. So, for example, the Mastodon thing, let's just talk generally about social media. How do we want to do this? And let's provide an overview, the current state, and how we want to go. And the same for the second one. It's a bit vague, and I don't know where you're trying to go with this. But more like have a bit of discussion beforehand and maybe create a PR of the message you want to convey on the maybe landing page.
The idea here was just to have it somewhere in the text that NixOS is constantly improving.
Okay, I think this kind of discussion should be better to have in the PR.
Okay.
And then if there is a big disagreement over something, we can bring it here and discuss it further. So, because otherwise we'll discuss every little detail here. I don't think that's it's efficient.
My question here is: do we want that, or do we disagree?
I think it's sufficient to say something about the release cycle. Like there's a new release every 6 months. because that implies that it's constantly improving. At least.
Yes, that's a good idea. Yes.
Okay. David, will you take care of this, that it gets a PR, and then we can discuss on a PR. I will ping you and remind you after I merge the landing page, and we can do this somewhere that it's even on the landing page.
Okay.
Or a features page. Edward, right? The next one, usability testing.
Yeah. Okay, so it's been 1 or 2 weeks since I wrote this down, but basically what I did while writing the guides that for which we still have this open PR was just sit down with a friend of mine and check a little bit how the first steps installing Nix on a regular Linux system are for somebody who hasn't worked with Nix before. I haven't really written down the results exactly. I mean, I took some input back into the guide, but basically doing this in general with more people, probably regularly, but well, first of all, with a few people to begin with, is I think something that I would like us to do, or well, myself included. I mean, I'm happy to do this. What I want to get out of this basically is to well to get a feeling for what people actually think when they interact with this. I think this is somewhat orthogonal to both surveys and like the thing that Idlework talked about last 3 weeks ago, because we are targeting, well, first of all, we're not only getting statistical data, we're probably not getting data that is very representative, but we're getting much deeper insight and we can probe into it during a conversation. So this gives us a better feeling for what some of the data we might collect in other ways means, and also like more of the human factor. Okay, what's really difficult and how is it difficult for people to understand, which also sometimes helps get better insights on what to actually do about it. I also think it's quite cheap to carry out because it's basically just, I mean, we need to invest time obviously because we need to do it with people, but it doesn't require any software development. We can just like sit down with somebody, do some screen sharing and get some idea for a couple of people at least, like how their experience is. And yeah, whatever we learn from that, I think initially I would try to find like 5 people maybe to get the feeling for the onboarding experience sort of. And then we can summarize the results and get some points. Like if, I don't know, if everybody has the same problem, then it's quite obvious, like if 5 random or well, pseudo random people that we get there have the same problem, it's pretty obvious that we should do something about it. Whether this is writing better documentation or change some of the tooling, I don't know, but I guess that's what we will see from that. Yeah, in the document that's linked there, probably doesn't make sense to look into it right now, but I've written out like a short announcement to the community that we're looking for those people because, I mean, maybe we can find them even among people that we know, but we can also make it as an open announcement and see how many people we get. And if there's a lot of feedback, like even if we find 20 people or something, that would be great. And then we can talk to them maybe after some iteration on the issues that we talk about.
I think it's a great idea. And you could write a short guide how to do that, and then more people can do it. For example, small tasks like you should install a package, how would you do it? And something like that.
Yeah.
And I know that okay, comment first on that.
No, I was just going, yeah, you're completely right. That's still on the agenda. There's an open point for in the document even to actually have a script sort of to walk through. It's probably also good, like maybe to have, like, I mean, I've done user tests before. So I'm not sure whether anybody else here has been part of that yet. But it may also make sense maybe to have just 2 people for the first session, and then it's easier to see how something like that could work, to get a feeling for how you interview people. without interfering with their thought process too much, which is something you really have to be mindful of.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I know that on some conferences, for example, the Chaos Communication Congress, there's every year a NixOS install party where people from the community help new users install NixOS.
Mhm.
And I think they have the knowledge what people struggle with. And we could ask them
Yeah,
or
that would
just
be fine.
provide or just say we want that feedback.
I admire the how you call it, the initiative, especially because you're willing to do it. I think that says a lot. No, because it's, like we have all ideas, but we need to go through with them. I think this usability testing can be applied to anything we do, even the website. Can you find something? There are many aspects in how, not even just the usage of the Nix itself.
Yeah.
It can be even like, does the guide that we create, tutorials, do they make sense? Things like this. So it's a crucial thing. I think how it plays, it is orthogonal to the other stuff, but to the survey but what I think we can actually do is to use the survey as a kind of announcement for once we polished it, right? Because it will take some time to polish the whole process.
Mhm.
One suggestion I might just have, so to kind of use the survey and even the social media, once we get it in order, to kind of announce these things. One idea I would have, what kind of, me personally, kind of drive me away from doing this is that I don't know what this means to do a usability testing. And if you can record maybe just one session and kind of try to have like 10 minutes and showing how you help somebody understand and even then maybe having like a talk after and saying like, oh, this is what we learned,
Mhm.
or we confirmed. That would be just the only suggestion that to kind of drive more people towards actually go sitting down with you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in the announcement, I have a short paragraph, like 4 lines, explaining roughly what they have to be prepared for. But sure, like a video would make this more obvious, of course.
Yeah. Especially if you share it with on Twitter, Mastodon, and like you attach like, hey, help us doing this more, so we
Yeah.
can gather more information.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So then we only have to find our first volunteer without announcement, and then
I guess you can just announce it for start. You can announce it in Discourse.
yeah, sure.
That would be like a start.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if announcing this on Discourse is kind of a low-key thing to start with, I mean, I didn't really had planned to make like a bigger announcement than on Discourse for now. Because I really only want to find a handful of people in the first place. And if that works, okay.
Just be clear about it. You're looking for like a small to improve the process, and then can go more. Nice. Anybody else wants to comment? Okay. We are efficient. So then now the guides and the whole IRC and the whole thing that kind of become a bit controversial. But I don't know. If I provide the summary, I don't know. There was so currently the idea was that to put the guide into the HTML, like how it is in the website, just write them, get the content. And then the whole discussions went that we need to separate the guides or use the other means that we use documentation for. To be honest, I don't care. I just want the whole experience of the new user to be good. The rest, I don't care. Right? And I think the only way to achieve this, I don't care about the format, is so first, I don't care about the format, but the format is being discussed. And until then, I just want a nice experience so that it's on the website, because currently the manual and everything is on the website until we decided otherwise. Doman, you had another idea, and maybe you can take over and share it. I see two of you. I mean, so might be. Hello? We don't hear you if you're talking. Okay.
So one of them is out.
Yeah, I think that's the stale instance. Okay, we hear something. We heard something. I'm just trying to provide feedback.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's really choppy, the connection.
Okay. About now. Can you hear me?
Really choppy. Is it also for others like this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you hear us well?
So I could hear him very badly, but maybe it just improves. Can you try again, Dom?
I think the gray icon on his square is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess gray is even worse than red, right? Okay, I'll try to. Okay, maybe. Yay, this is much better.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. And you have a green icon.
Nice. All right. I don't know, something's wrong with my laptop or whatever. Let me just try to attach Bluetooth because that will actually work.
Okay.
All right, that worked. All right, perfect. So, yeah, I don't know. I had for quite some time the backlog of writing a bunch of tutorials, and I mean there's a lot of ways to do it. Obviously, everyone would do it their own way. But I really want to write like 10 to 15 tutorials that I think are the most common way of people entering Nix. So it's not about covering everything, it's more about covering the most common reasons why people would like try Nix, essentially. That's the main goal. I think it should be done in a more proper documentational way so that things can be organized with a documentational system so that you can have like glossary and search over the documentation and all these things. Anyway, so I started the nix.dev. I bought the domain just like a week ago, which wasn't cheap, but yeah, we have it now. I wrote two tutorials. Actually, one was already done installing Nix. I extended it a bit, and then I wrote very basic one like ad hoc environment, developer environments. And then there's like a bunch of issues open on the nix.dev repository. And yeah, I'm gonna spend the next weeks probably like 2 or 3 days per week writing those and trying to get some technical writer to look at it as well, because my style of writing is not really technical writing, so it would be good to get it a bit more consistent, I think. So I don't know, I don't want to stop anyone's energy. If somebody wants to join efforts with that, that's great. If not, that's also great. I think there's pretty good infrastructure right now. So when you open a pull request, it will like generate a preview page. There is a live documentation script that will reload on save and render the docs.
and it's all done using strings or in the restructured text, which I think is the most easy to get into usable state out of all documentation tools. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the summary. And the plan is really just to write a bunch of tutorials and give it to a very wide audience and get feedback and improve upon that very slowly, because there's a lot to catch up.
Any comment?
Okay,
I mean-
so I mean, yeah, Dominic, I already chatted about this, but just, I mean, I am, I'm just wondering about how we want to proceed from here, because I think since I started writing those guides, I had this in mind as well. Okay, let's just put them on the website. Now, obviously, like, I don't care too much about the technology. I mean, of course, it makes a difference whether I have to write raw HTML or restructured text. But in the end, I agree with Rock there. Like, it is important that we can guide the user to that. And I think for me, it's valuable to put the effort that I'm putting right now into writing guides into something that people will discover when they are on the Nix website, right? Because that's the kind of angle that I want to work on. So from my perspective, what makes sense here, I mean, we can do this on a separate domain. I mean, that doesn't, like, it's not necessarily bad idea, and it might confuse people, not sure. But I mean, separating the text tag is definitely not a problem, I think. Maybe people see that differently, I don't know. But like, what's important is that if we start working on this together, like, and put our effort into a separate thing, that it's at least linked on the in the part of the homepage where we have the guides listed now. So I think we should all be on board of that and sort of come together to a solution that we can all carry forward as a joint effort. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Right. I mean, my opinion is that if we have whatever the place with 15 tutorials, which are written, semi okay, at least, then that is much better than anything else we have. So not linking that would be a shame in the first place. And yeah, that's like essentially, use what is the currently best source of tutorials. And the actual infrastructure and all of that is already set up, so there is no reason not to use it. My main motivation is really to really have as low bar as possible. Although one could argue we can go to the Markdown, which is the lowest bar to write documentation, so that this excuse is taken away. Although it will always be present to some degree, and just have a good infrastructure in place for writing docs. And the linking, I don't know, I don't see a problem why linking 15 links of tutorials is hard, or why it wouldn't be done. I mean, if it's more like it shouldn't be a separate site, then okay, I wouldn't understand this argument as well in the first place. So.
Can I propose just coming as a intermediate solution for the time being? So we are right in the time where the RFC about documentation is being done or being worked on, right? So whatever comes out of that, that is going to be the main source of things, right? Or don't really care, but just it's going to be decided somehow, whatever that is. I think one thing that you are showing here really good is that you are showcasing how a restructured text could work. What's the workflow? So if somebody wants to give it a try, they can even write right now the tutorial and it will show up there, right? As a good resource. I really I think we should link NixDev as any other website we have with the resources. I mean, that's clearly should be done. But if we are even the NixOS manual and Nix manual and Nix packages manual, we kind of incorporate into the website currently, right? And would it be okay until the RFCs decided that we want some document so that we contribute to NixDev for the guides, but once the guide is written or updated, we copy paste the HTML and put it into the NixOS org. And that way, and of course, with the link where the source of it is, to kind of where you should update the manual or fix the manual. Would that be a compromise, which is good enough until the decision is being done for in the next month and a half?
I'm not sure where the requirement comes from that we need to have everything on NixOS.org. That's something, I guess, that it's unclear to me.
I understand. So the argument behind this is that it's confusing to the new users, that you're redirecting between two pages and showing those guides as something that it's really kind of important that everybody will go there. It's something that will confuse people, right? I mean, like you can understand this or you don't. I mean, right? But I'm trying to find a compromise for the next month and a half so that we can contribute into one place, but then still have, like it's a compromise. It's not a perfect solution. But once the RFC 64 is decided, then we will then try to work towards that solution. At least I will. Right.
I mean, if only the domain is the problem, we could also add a DNS entry for a subdomain to NixDev. Like, I don't know, have guides.nixos.org to point to nix.dev. That's the issue. I don't know.
In general, it's pretty common to have a documentation in a separate domain because usually it's a different system, it's a different authoring system, and most projects have a different domain for it, or subpath or whatever. So I don't see why.
I mean, they might have reach a docs or something like that, but looks a bit strange if you go to nixos.org and the first link you click on goes to nix.dev. I mean, then you might wonder, well, why does it have different styling and why is it different domain and it's run by different people, so it might make a rather unorganized impression. Like with the current, for example, the wiki is a different site run by different people. So, I mean, if we want things to make a sort of good impression where it's kind of properly integrated.
Consistent,
yeah. And then separating it across different sites is probably not optimal.
Can I just add, because I think we are almost like nobody's saying that having a subdomain docs or guides.nixos.org is not the way to go. What I'm proposing in this is that we find the middle ground until this is decided. Like I'm trying to find what we can do now that we can start contributing to one place, right? Because it's like, as you said, right? Like writing the content is it's important, right? And just having at the same time the consistency that we want. And once the RFC is confirmed or disproved or whatever, then we can have, like, I would rather have this discussion elsewhere in the RFC where, like, okay, now we will work on, these are our tools. There's going to be docs.nixos.org. What do we want? Like, is this a good compromise?
Can you repeat what you intend to do right now?
Okay, so so the proposal is to kind of compromise until the RFC is decided. Contribute guides into the NixDev folder, which will in turn also prove or disprove how good the process is, right? I think that's also important, right? And having this and doing this will actually add value also to showcase the Sphinx and restructured text, right? I hope everybody will write at least part or fix part of the tutorial with this and see the process, because I think it's really good. But on the other side, we also want to keep this consistency. So get started link on the front page pointing to something that it's not NixOS org, it's a bit weird, at least in my opinion. And for the time being, can we just copy paste this guide? Because I think if we are here to have that, our goal is to have a user happy, I think that's maybe this is a compromise until then. Hand by Samuel.
Yeah, just want to come back to the point just before with a single statement. Having a separate subdomain and a separate design and separate site for documentation is leaky abstraction of the backends. You don't need to separate this in any kind of way to have a working website. It can be integrated, whatever backend is used. And I must additionally say that when you switch backends, nothing should change for the end user. So if you, those website that use, like, let's say, readthedocs.com for their documentation, they are putting themselves in peril of losing their SEO juice, since if they want to move their backend to something else because something doesn't work for them in Read the Docs, they can't continue using the existing URLs. So I'm not against or for anything. It's just something to consider, that this is a leaky abstraction.
Domen, I'll ask just directly, would this compromise be okay with you?
Yeah, Misam, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. But if you like, I think it's very bike shedding. Like, it's pretty common to have this, and for a month and a half, I don't see why it matters. Like, we didn't have tutorials for 10 years, and now it suddenly matters that they're on the same page. That's weird requirement to me. But on the other hand, I have nothing against this. If you think it's important, then.
I mean, the whole purpose is to improve the website, right? So if we then immediately start improving NixOS.org by adding another website, that looks a bit disorganized. And there's also a practical aspect. So, for example, if I want to make an improvement to the homepage, if we've separated across different websites, then I would have to do pull requests against multiple websites, and there would have to be dependencies between them. So, for example, if we have these examples on the landing page and they link to some other page where it goes into more detail, I might want to do a pull request that makes a change to both of these. And if the extended page is in a separate repository on a separate site, then it makes it much harder to contribute to that.
And I think we want to have official guides, and the official guides should be on our own website. And guides somewhere else can only be unofficial guides, I think.
I would just add that I think, like, I actually agree with the point that I'm actually really happy that NixDev happened, that it showcased the RST, because I really think that people should get the feeling of the whole process, right? And for that, I'm really happy. I do think, again, domain is really important. I don't think we'll agree on this, but until RFC is done, I think everybody understands that once RFC is decided, however it is, this is going to be the way for official documentation, right? Whatever that is. And until then, we'd like to contribute to NixDev. repository, and then later convert it into whatever that later is. And then still use, like we wouldn't like to split this because there is only a few of us writing the documentation, right? So let's join forces.
Yeah, I think this is exactly the reason. Like, I would like a lot of people to be able to contribute documentation, and that's probably a very different audience than people who should have access to NixOS homepage. So that's probably another reason to actually separate the two. I don't see I don't see a lot of reasons for wanting to change the homepage and wanting to change the documentation at the same time. But then this discussion can go on forever, probably. I mean, there's just too many options there.
Edvard, Ilko, and I have then a comment.
So I think we need to separate here between repository and domain, right? We can easily have this in the repository, and I think your argument totally makes sense for that. You might want to have different groups of contributors to each. But for the domain, I mean, that's just a technical top layer sort of that we can kind of switch, and which doesn't, I mean, you might have under the same domain like 30 to 100 different repositories if you take it to the extreme. So that are two separate discussions, I think.
Okay, Ilko?
Yeah, so the point that Domen raised that so nix.dev might have less stringent rules about contributing, that actually raises the question of whether it should be linked directly from the homepage. I mean, if it's not properly vetted, if it's more sort of wiki-like in who can contribute, then it might be kind of risky to have it very closely integrated with the homepage.
I think it would be the same as Nix packages, right? Anyone can write to the manual if they have committed to Nix packages. So that's like 130 people. So I would give the same group access to this documentation. If we trust them with the manual, we might as well trust them with this. And of course, it goes all through pull requests, hopefully.
I mean, you could turn this around. Maybe we need to give all those people also access to the homepage.
Yeah,
I mean, it's actually less dangerous to give people commit access to the homepage than to
right.
NixOS,
yeah.
Nix packages.
Yeah, I see the argument can go. I mean, my intention is that people can easily contribute. I don't think. I mean, that's my goal. I don't have a particular opinion how that's done, except that it should ideally be done through some reviews, since it's a big community now. So maybe actually not giving commit access is even better. But then at some point somebody should merge, right? So there's always this tension.
I think here it's even extending a bit the proposal, right? To kind of address also the Ilko's concerns. Maybe move this. So I don't know what the repository's name, but like move this into NixOrg. Use the same. Create a documentation team. Put yourself there as and then you kind of add people to that documentation team. And this is where documentation team is starting then. You're the first member, and I know that there will be many more, right? And this is like the first, and then we incorporate it into the NixOS org. Would that be okay? Like,
I mean, as a practical matter, I would just suggest keeping one repo and having more liberal access to that. Than having multiple repos. I mean, yeah.
I'm just trying to be I know that this would be maybe ideal, but let's try to find a compromise. This is only until RFC 64 is accepted, and then once we know in which format we will write, then we can also discuss where this documentation will also live separately, together. But this I would kind of put into the hands of the documentation team. But this will be just a start. So they have their own repository. It's not ideal. I would actually prefer that it's in the homepage, but we can incorporate it as part of the build process. I'm trying to find, because I don't think we'll agree on something. I'm just trying to find a compromise that we can start contributing to one location and end up with good guides, right? That's my main goal, right? And I'm fine, whatever happens, just Anybody else? We were doing so good without bike shedding. Now we are the last topic. But it's okay. This is a topic we need to discuss. It's important. Anybody else wants to comment on this?
Should we perhaps capture the result in writing? Just so we make sure that we know what.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mean what is the compromise?
Yeah. Just write it down in the document.
Well, actually, we didn't agree yet upon the compromise. I mean, mostly Domen has to agree upon it. If he's okay that we kind of contribute to that repository and then also share that what we contribute also incorporate into the NixOS org website.
Yeah, that's fine by me. I mean, if somebody wants to do that work of integrating, I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm gonna focus on writing tutorials. I think that's
exactly
where I'll spend my energy.
Yeah, just each time you write something and get posted, just ask for review, because we will notice if we contribute there that there is something that we need to improve, take out on the website.
I'll be happy to do the bridging, or at least think about how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Domen, does this mean that you started the documentation team? Sorry, I'm pushing a bit. Because I'd like to announce.
I don't know.
Because this would be awesome.
I think it would be good to not get too many people give their opinion at this stage, because it's just gonna blow up. I want to first spend. Well, I mean, you can announce it if you want, but preferably not, because I just want to write this in quiet with some people that actually focus on the content and not bike sheds about everything and how it should be and how it shouldn't be. And just write something coherent first. And then if I succeed in that, then we can say that I did something good.
Okay.
Or whoever works as well. Yeah.
Okay, so after then we'll help you with that as much as we can. And then once the RFC is done, then I guess with that RFC we can announce the documentation team properly with the whole fireworks and everything.
I mean, with the RFC, I can maybe say a few words. In my opinion, it's not going that well. That would be the summary, because it's really one of those topics where there is a lot of options to pick from, and it's really hard to say one is right and another one is wrong. It's more like that the status quo is far from good, and we can pick something that is much better. And then the difference between better and a tiny bit better is not that big. But I think the team is very afraid of picking something, because they know somebody's gonna be not happy with the result, or most people won't be, or some people won't be, whatever. But this is just the way of life. If you pick something,
I would just stop you, because this RFC discussion goes to the RFC meetings, which you're part of. I agree how it's all done. I'm not sure if it's going well, but at least there is a deadline, and until it's closed, like that discussion. What I think it's more important, which you need to know, is that you provided the best use case to show how the whole workflow works, and what are the alternatives, right? So with your project, you really show that not only you're willing to put the work in setting tooling up, which everybody's trying to do nowadays, but also to actually write the documentation, which I think is really important, right? And I think having somebody that would lead the documentation effort, at least like this initial push, I think shows a lot, right? And that's, like they will feel everybody having a discussion, at least in my opinion, if I would see somebody really putting an effort in it for a period of time, I would be much more comfortable doing that decision. And I think, keeping like this period of a month or two until I think it's month and a half for the IRC to kind of be discussed, I think it's worthwhile. And then see where we go from there. Like, I think you have the best use case, at least from my point, to kind of succeed with your arguments. And you represent, with this example, you present your arguments the best. And I think that's, and even we are already using your results on the website, which, speaks of the commitment and the quality.
Yeah,
okay.
I hope the same.
Yeah, I'm. It's marketing team. We need to have a good spirit. Otherwise, we don't get spirit. And speaking of the good spirit, it's 1 hour, so we did it. We really did it. It's 1 hour since we started. Doan, I will just assume that kind of this. I will write up and I'll ping you if that the compromise it's what I understood. And then I'll write the minutes of the meeting and post them. I'll contact you before posting it so that there is no lost in translation. Sounds good?
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
With this, I'll conclude the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And really, I think we're moving into the right direction. There is a lot of patience we need, and I'm happy. I see things changing on a better, right? So we don't have to go fast. We just have to go forward. Please, for the next time we meet in 2 weeks, I promise I will make an announcement tomorrow. I'll send you the invitation tomorrow, and try to collaborate ahead of time so that we have these kind of short meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.